on with us. Thank you very much for joining. All right, let's get started, Jason. All right, let's dive into this. Welcome, everybody, to our second episode of the Dealer Teamwork Webinar Series. And today we have an awesome guest, an old friend of mine. I'm sure everybody here on the call knows Jasen Rice, founder of LotPop. Jasen, say hello. Thanks, buddy. Great to see you.
Hello.
Great to hear from you.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, Gay.
Well, I appreciate it taking the time. I know you're on the road today, actually, with the family, so I appreciate that. We got a lot of great stuff to share with you guys today. We've put together a really nice seminar for you today with this. We've got a great agenda. We're going to be talking about the 8 best practices to manage and market your inventory and your marketing. And we'll start off real quick with a couple of housekeeping notes. Everything is being recorded. Everybody will be able to download this on demand as well. Everybody will have a chance and the opportunity to get the deck afterwards as well. If you have questions are turned on, Q&A, so go ahead and fire a message over to us. We'll get to those at the end. And so let's dive into it. We got a real simple agenda for you. We're going to go over some basic facts and go cover the state of the market, see what's happening. Obviously, everybody's going through a crazy time right now. We want to get through this together, so we're going to cover some key stats. Then we're going to talk a little bit about a back and forth here discussion between some of Jasen's best practices from LotPop inventory management. Then we're going to go through a few of our best practices as well from Dealer Teamwork. And then we'll show you a real simple action plan. There's going to be a lot of stuff. We're going to go pretty fast and furious. So again, anything at the end, ask some questions. More than happy to help you with that. And then on top of that, Jasen has been gracious enough to offer up one of his inventory health audits, as I put it. It's a fantastic way to see what's happening with your inventory, and as well combine that with a Dealer Teamwork website and SEO and GMB type of holistic overview. Put those two together and you've got the winning formula for inventory marketing and management. So let's dive right in. So what are we seeing going on? Everybody knows what's happening around the world. We know that searches have been down. We know that sales have been down. But look what's been going on. We're seeing week over week increases and growth over all these internet searches, all related to our industry. This is probably one of the best positive signs that we've seen for a while, and we've been waiting for this. So we're seeing about 6 weeks in a row of rising searches. And again, one of our favorite lines, people buy tomorrow what they search today. And we're seeing that happen to us right now in the industry for the past 6 weeks. Retail sales are up again. We've seen a serious incline, a serious increase in these types of searches that are coming out. Jasen, what have you experienced as well with your clients with regards to the post-search activity? Are you seeing this as well?
Yeah, it's not even the searches, it's the sales. People are out there buying. Dealers are having some really good months. I don't know if it's the spring season hangover, because usually we'll have this in March and April, and here we are in May going into June seeing this traffic, or if it's a good sign of what's to come. But yeah, it's the sales are sitting there along with all the searches, so people are pulling the trigger too.
Yeah, we're seeing that change in behavior, and that's a great thing to see. And here's a real simple example. There's dealerships near me, car dealership near me, even the brand type of searches, Jeep dealership near me, Ford dealership to me. You do this with just about every brand, and you can see here, Jasen, what I've got is this is a chart going back 90 days for automotive-related near me searches. And you can see, just a few days ago, we finally got back to pre-pandemic search levels. That's a great sign. And obviously we're seeing that translated into the sales. So how are we going to be able to respond to this? Let's take a quick look. And Jasen, feel free to jump in. You know this stuff so much better than everybody else in the industry. We're seeing the rolling average, that peaked back in April. Dealers were getting pretty nervous. The day supply, obviously, jumped up to, well over 100 days. And Jasen, what are your thoughts on that normal supply and how that's dropped down now? They're saying it's dropped down just nearly 40 days.
I almost think it's going to be a blessing for dealers, because we've always pushed dealers to carry what they sell. So if you got 100, sell 100. I don't believe you have to have 150 to sell 100. So a lot of dealers are running thin right now, and that's a good thing in a way because they realize they could still sell and without have that many. And I think also it's forced them to have better habits and turnaround time. And so they always say the best of habits form at the worst of times. And this is that time. The hard part is to maintain that and for them to see kind of the benefit of, because I've got a lot of dealers running really thin. I have a dealer on pace to sell 120, 130 with 75 in stock. So he's running really thin, but he's always been a good disciplined thin runner. So, I mean, he's always, he's kind of used to this pace. But dealers, I think, always struggled to believe they could do that. They always thought they had to have that certain level. And I think it's kind of helped, you know, so I think the normal day supply should, you know, as a dealer, you'd want about a 30-day supply if you can run efficient, though. I mean, the rest means efficient, you know, that's the tough part.
From everything I've been reading as well, and everything that I've been seeing from the indicators I watch, it looks like inventories are definitely down lower than even the lowest point of last year, which is obviously a great sign. What are your thoughts on the new inventory counts? I just spoke to another dealer just the other day. They normally stock 120 Silverados. They were down to about 20. And he said he was going to sell through those in probably 10 days. So until the factories start putting it out, what do you really see that's going to be the biggest factor that impacts the dealerships?
So you're talking about new Silverados or used?
Yeah, these were new, and he, you know, obviously things are starting. It's forcing him to look at the used inventory stocking levels as well.
Well, I preached about a little bit over a month ago, about dealers getting more CPO efficient, because I think if I was hoping that, and some of the OEMs have stepped up to incentivize the CPO. It's going to be a good alternative. Now, it's very hard to take a customer who's looking to buy a brand new truck, especially if there's a new body style or certain features, and 0% for 84 months to switch them to a used. But if the supply is not there, I mean, you know, if you do a dealer locate and every other dealer in your 200-mile radius is in your same boat and there's just not anything there, the customer either doesn't buy anything or has to switch to something. And I think a late model CPO is a good alternative. So I would make sure, and I think that's going forward too, because of all the production shutdowns. Overall, this might be a blessing for the OEMs that they had to be forced to shut down so they weren't overproducing for the economy that we're going to be facing, because dealers really could be in a pinch. So it might kind of be a break even for new. But I also think consumers are going to be very budget conscious coming out of this. So used is going to be a big alternative as it is anyways. So, and I think a strong CPO presence is going to be part of that. Because I do think road trips, everything's going to pick up. I think more people are going to be in their car more than airplanes going forward, at least for this year. And they're going to want a nice, reliable car, and they just might not be able to afford the new one. So I think people are going to upgrade this year. Ride sharing is going to not fade, but obviously people are more hesitant to get into Uber and a taxi right now than their own car. So I think business will be there. And again, I think CPO would be that next alternative then for dealers.
Awesome. Well, let's dive into a little bit more of the specifics. And again, the major theme here, everybody that's on the webinar today, we really want to make everybody aware of the connection. Make the connection between the inventory and your marketing health. And between that, that's how you're going to drive the operational success. You know, in my theory, you know, Jason, you remember I approached you on this a while ago. You know, the whole concept of let's take a look at the inventory first. How healthy is that? And I know you're going to dive into those, but that's the general theme I want to make sure everybody is on the same page with today. You get that going, you know, because my thought has been, I don't want to throw, as a dealer, I certainly don't want to throw good money after bad. And being, you know, and trying to market cars that are too old. Maybe got the wrong cars. Maybe they're priced wrong. That's just foolish. So, you know, put the two together.
And I don't want to skip ahead here, I'm glad you put inventory first here, because that's always what we push. You know, I do think inventory being marketing right, and then lead management, and then market. You know, same with lead management. You don't want to market a bunch, drive a bunch of leads if no one's going to be replying to them and handling and calling back and stuff. And I would say right now there's that time of period where the seasons change. So a lot of dealers, you go look at your photos, you probably have, you know, the bare trees in the background without the leaves. You might even have snow. You guys up in the north, some might have some pictures with snow in them and stuff. You got to get rid of those right now, because everything needs to look fresh and clean to consumers, and having a cold, wintry photo just makes a car look worn out. So
Absolutely.
inventory
Absolutely.
management.
All right, well, let's dive into yours. You got a great 1 week inventory health action plan here, and I know you've got so many incredible best practices and recommendations. And obviously we're limited with time, but you wanted to focus in on 4 different things. So just run us through just a high level overview on all of these, and then we'll get a chance to go back and forth a little bit and really dive into some of the specifics.
So the first one, 30, 45-day metrics will be obsolete. I mean, think about it. And one of the, one for stocking, saying what you sold in the last 30, 45 days can be obsolete. You look 45 days ago, a lot of dealerships were closed up. They weren't selling anything. And same with any 30 or 45-day market data. The market wasn't selling anything. So you'll see high day supplies and stuff, even though those cars might be moving well. But we'll go over that. You got stocking your sale rate. Again, kind of carry what you sell what you carry. Don't go on a hope and change and overstock, just hoping that the market stays this way, because we don't know. And then the biggest thing is going to be turnaround time. I think that's going to be key. King and key, our dealerships, one of the biggest obstacles they have as we increase their volume is to maintain and keep up the turnaround time because of staffing. And that's going to be real important right now, as a lot of dealers go into this short staff. They didn't hire everybody back. They only have 1 quarter instead of 3. So it's going to be even harder for them to manage that. And then virtual lot walks, kind of what I was just talking about. We walk our physical lot and make sure everything's standing tall in a nice tight row. But in the meantime, we got check engine lights on our photos, or low tire warnings and dirty cars, online. So we'll go over some of those things too.
Awesome. And then we'll cover, again, our nice little back and forth discussion here. I'm going to cover probably 4 of my favorite topics right now. And they make up the core of some of our best recommendations for performance and ROI. Again, everybody has probably heard me talk about it, but we're not going to stop until we can convince the industry to really adopt it en masse. But Google My Business is just, I can't stress the importance of it, for the ability to be able to just connect with more, manage it even smarter, and just drive more opportunities. And then after that, we're going to jump into some of the social media ROI performance and some of the real simple basic items. And it's one of those things like the GMB, Jason. We're just not seeing that. And again, connect the proper marketing structure with the right inventory that you have been able to help the dealers with, and be able to price those right. Again, that's your winning combination. And then being able to leverage some of the opportunities from Google's new AI and capabilities, and the ability to just add more automation to that. And then lastly, just the importance of the business intelligence, and how much of a game changer this will be. Obviously, everybody's always talked about data, and firsthand, Jason, with what you're doing with your platform, and you guys are going to get to be able to see a nice sneak peek at what the intelligence that Jason has, not only from his dealers but also from his platform. And that's literally the same exact concept that we're going to be able to embrace even deeper with the new MPOP analytics platform that we're developing here at Dealer Teamwork. So again, you combine these not only to get a better look at what's actually going on in your own inventory, but leverage that and leverage that for what's happening within the industry to your benefit. So Jason, kick us off with the carry what you sell topic.
Sure, and I don't know if you want to go to that next slide there, but the biggest thing, I guess, I've always wanted dealers to go lean and clean, carry what you sell. So if you're running at a 30-day sale rates, and it's always just the best option, because that allows you to always be a buyer. I talk about you want to be a hunter. You want to be able to be out there hunting for the best deals and the better deals. Even if the market's high right now, I always want to be buying at a current market value. These are depreciating assets, so you need to be able to move off these things sooner than later. And so the concept that you have to have 150 now, the days of having a bunch of floor traffic, and could show somebody a car that just got here in the back, and maybe get them excited about it, and get a deposit and have them come back. Those days are gone. People are going to be obviously more and more shopping online. That's a whole other topic as far as what to stock. But you can see here what we're showing in the charts. We look at a 2-week sale rate, because again, going back to 30 and 45-day metrics, I want to look at what I've sold in the last 2 weeks, because if I'm looking what I sold in a 45-day window, because a lot of inventory management tools will look at a 45-day sale rate to tell you what to stock. And 45 days ago, I wasn't selling as much. So looking right now, looking 45 days ago, it might tell you, you only need about 10 cars based on this pace. But really, in reality, the last 2 weeks, you might have been selling 10, 20, 30 cars. Well, it hasn't really flowed into your average yet, your 45-day average. So it might tell you to carry light. And in reality, you need twice as much as what the 45-day sale rate is telling you. So we look at, that's what you see here, 52, or they're selling 59 cars in a 2-week window, carrying 102. So this dealer would be on pace for what, 118 cars in a 30-day window. So they need to be buying on that, because if you look 45 days ago, if you look at their April numbers, even April 20th, they weren't even selling 10 cars, So if you looked at a 45-day window, it wouldn't tell you to stock to 120 sale rate window.
So that's a great point. So your takeaway here for everybody listening is just simply stop paying attention to that window, that historical window, look at a shorter 2-week period, and then base your stocking levels off of that data, correct?
Yeah, and so that gray line is my number one thing I want to look at. I want that to be at 50%. You can see that gray line's dropped off. He's been as high as 60, almost 68%. And again, if I'm looking at 2 weeks, I got 100 cars. In 2 weeks, I'm going to sell 50. So in a month, I'm selling 100. So this should be at 50%. You notice it's dropped down right now to 58%. That's low, lower than what it was. But the green line, it's because his inventory is going up. So, think about that. A lot of dealers, man, we're down 10% in our sales. Well, your inventory level's down 15%. So you're really doing okay, because you got 15% less inventory, selling only 10% less. So you got to put your sales in relation to your carry to really know if you're successful or not. And so, again, I think carry to sale rate and looking at a 2-week window and try to be at a 50% window will, again, force you in that volume.
Nice.
Again,
and again, just another indicator of this is our situation, and the industry's got to realize this, that metrics, old way of doing things, the approach that we take, all of these situations are creating new problems, and these new problems have to be solved. And Jasen just nailed it with this. This is a very, very simple takeaway. So hopefully everybody's taking notes on this as well. This is a really, really key topic. And this next one,
important, if I can, it's important on your marketing, because again, you get to your marketing company, go, hey man, how come we're down 20% this month? Or, year over year. Last year we did this. Well, what was your inventory level back then? You might have had more inventory level.
Yeah, exactly. And so for everybody listening as well, one of the biggest changes that we're trying to make in the way that we approach everything with our dealers is exactly what Jasen just said. Let's understand more about your business as well. Because if we're going to guide you in trying to spend your hard-earned money and your budgets on marketing, we want to put these two factors together. And hopefully everybody can see that bigger picture here. And that's why it's so important for these two worlds to finally collide and bring these concepts together. And then once both sides of the table are on the same page, this changes the way that we not only analyze the data, manage the inventory, and also manage the marketing dollars as well. So Jasen, walk us through this next. You got so much great data in your platform, and again, congratulations to you and your team on everything you've put together in such a short time. This is great. So walk us through exactly, again, a lot of data here. So show us exactly what's happening and explain how this is being used for you to pull out the data for the clients.
Well, again, I want to point out, we're not an inventory management tool. That's why we're called LotPop. We're looking at your lot as a whole. So we're just a complement to your V-Autos or your Max Digitals or whatever inventory management tool you have. But and so we try to provide information that those systems don't have. What you see here is half and half. You'll get some of this information out of your inventory management tool, but we've added a little caveat to it, a little twist, for our dealers to be proactive instead of reactive when they're stocking. And this gets to the point of why you don't need 150 to sell 100. A lot of people need the 150 because they need the pad of the 50 cars are going to be transporting and going into service and things like that. But if you actually get proactive, you can kind of catch it ahead. So up at the top, you can notice we can break this down by class or year or make or certified. And that's huge because I talked about certified earlier, and we're a approved vendor for Chrysler, for example, and this is one main reason why we look at the models for certified. A lot of dealers aren't successful with CPO because maybe they're carrying the wrong CPO products. And so we can show them what products we're selling and then price buckets. So real quick here, like compact sport utility, this dealer needs some compact sport utilities. I forget the age and stuff. Again, guys are working out of a problem here, but he has 11 in stock, which is 11% of this 101 he has in stock. But the sold, that's what's key. 10. So you see the 10. The 10 means he sold 10 in a 2-week window. Again, we're not looking at 30, 45-day sale windows. He sold 10 in 2 weeks. So the 20 is what he's on pace for the month. So with 11 in stock and 20 sale rate, he needs 9 just on that alone.
Right.
So over to the right, he needs 9. But the difference is the one below, intermediate SUVs, same thing. He sold intermediate SUVs in the last 2 weeks, puts him on pace for 24, okay? So he needs 7 just on that pace. That's the difference, okay? But the predictor, that one you went to, we're predicting one of his 17 should be leaving soon because of its age. Notice, I know they leave at 31 days at 95%. So he's got one of his 17s that is priced more aggressive and is older than what they tend to sell for. I can look at that one and also maybe back that up, the fact that they're converting good on SRP VDP data for Cars.com Auto Trader. So instead of chasing 7, go after 8 right now. Get ahead of it, because by that time that car leaves, you've got the replacement car sitting there. So we're not waiting for a car to sell. Because just think about how many times we had a big weekend, we sold 20 cars where we usually sell 10 or whatever the number is. And so now we're scrambling. Instead of buying 10, we got to go buy 20. And then you got to transfer. My turnaround service and porters are only used to handling, 10. And now I've just doubled down their workload. That means they're going to have a big delay in turnaround time, which delays everything. And now I got to overstock because I'm waiting for my guys to play catch up back there. So if we can get ahead of it and be proactive, that's what this is pointing to. And then when they click on it, we'll break it down to the year, make, model, and trims, the exact year, make, models, and trims that are working on your lot, and combine that with the market data that you get both from, dealer teamwork, but also, out of your inventory management tool, looking at the base supply and stuff. I think it's a great combination.
Yeah, that's so smart. And that's why from a marketer's vantage point, that's why I get so excited, looking at this and hearing the approach that you're taking, because it just makes it so much, smarter in terms of the approach, in terms of how this whole plan comes together. Now that both ends of it are working together towards that common goal. And again, instead of either pointing fingers at one vendor or, everybody's blaming somebody else, this is the smarter way to go about it. So now let's switch gears just a little bit. We'll go over to the marketing side again in terms of how this ties together. Now, again, what you need off of this data. You know what you're selling. You know what the age is. And again, if you do have an aging issue, now you have the ability to at least put some emphasis on some vehicles, new, used, certified, doesn't matter what they are. And you make the decision, again, to put some emphasis on that. So one of the best ways, again, to be able to drive the attention that you need on your brand and then ultimately to your vehicles, obviously, is just leveraging that Google My Business. I like to call it your local landing page. And if you embrace this concept, this should essentially be the core base of this. So check this out. Since April, the views and the clicks, the views are on the top. The clicks are on the top and the overall views. And I'm going to go so far as to say that Google My Business traffic, views and clicks, are a leading indicator of what's to come for all industries. And you can see this, the red line, real simple, is automotive. The green line is non-automotive. And you can see how they both, cross over each other. And again, you look at that red line just take off in April. That was the leading indicator for pretty much every other industry, again, in terms of Google My Business clicks and views. And again, obviously automotive had a lot more locations open due to essential classification, but still that in and of itself should be a strong indicator of where the activity is and why you need to be there. And it's a very simple topic. We're not going to get too deep into it, but I just want to make sure everybody truly embraces the overall impact that this local landing page and for your Google My Business profile can have. And there's 3 separate types of searches that I'm going to focus in on. And if you want to drive traffic to your store, this is your opportunity. About 50% of all of your website traffic is probably already engaging with this profile, this knowledge panel right here. And those are branded searches, those are direct searches, and discovery. So what are those? Very simply, branded, that's your dealership's brand. Your direct searches, that's your name. And then lastly, and the most important in my opinion, is your discovery searches. So if you want to get eyeballs on your inventory, you want to get eyeballs on your special units, your aged units, your certified, that's where you're going to pick this up. And some dealerships are seeing up to 10, 12x the number of results that come through that bucket of search alone. And the only way you're going to get that is by having all of these great things in place, the call to actions, the categories, the proper categories behind the scenes, getting all this extra content in sections like the product carousel and being able to click through directly into a new, used, certified, any of the other sort of services and products that you have. That's how you drag local traffic. And then on top of that, we know everybody's got their offers, especially on the new side. You got these aggressive OEM offers. So again, just make sure you've got the content in there, you're sharing it consistently, you've got the tracking tags, and that's how you're going to get the eyeballs on the specific vehicles and the campaigns that you need to push to meet your objectives and try to rebuild as we go through this reopening and rebuilding phase. We know, as Jasen said, it's not all doom and gloom. There are great positive signs out there, but now is the time to be able to leverage every one of these small pieces together to build a better approach. And again, even if it's the little things, guys, look at the COVID update section. There's a special section that Google put in place just because of the situation. You can put whatever you want in there. Leverage those little features. And then even things like the FAQ section. I'm finally, Jasen, starting to see dealers actually develop their own FAQs for the content that we work with them to put in the website. And you know what they're doing now? They're using that same content to just stack the FAQ section. Because people realize now, once we start tagging these profiles, that more traffic comes in, it clicks, and they can track that. So it's really simple.
Is that all that stuff you got on? Because we talked about this. I had dealers with what I call switch cars or payment cars. Think about it, Ford C-Maxes or Chevy Sonics. These cars, people are not actively looking for these cars. So I've been telling dealers, those would be your spotlight ads on Auto Trader and Cars.com because, on SEO, SEM, no one's looking for a Ford C-Max in Google, right? Ford C-Max is near me. They might not even know they existed, but dealers had success selling them because of floor traffic that they would switch them over to or payment stuff. And I brought that concern up to you, and you said, well, no, we've is that the stuff you're talking about to allow dealers to help move?
I got some great, absolutely. And I got some great examples of that coming up in one of the next sections. So we'll dive into that topic as well. You'll see how that connects those two together as well. So take us through this portion as well on your lots.
All right. So now I'm going to recap. 30 to 45 day metrics won't matter. When we just went over the stocking thing, I'm giving you a 30-day supply range, right? I said, but I'm looking at your last 2 week sale windows. Now, so 30 to 45 day metrics, I'm not looking 30, 45 days ago. I'm looking the last 2 weeks, but giving you a 30-day supply. Carry to sell rate. This is huge. And this is one of the things that we track. Again, just imagine your inventory management tool. You log in and you see how much inventory you have in each age bucket, 0 to 15, 16 to 30, 31 to 45. But what you don't see there is kind of a trend module. So you could see here where this dealer at the end of April took his age down from 35%. Now he's down to 7%. So over this window of time, we've helped clean that inventory back up. They sat stale for a while, and they've been able to increase their 0 to 30 day cars, so 0 to 15 and 16 to 30. That's exactly what we needed to do because the most successful stores, you can have gross and volume. So when I say carry 100, sell 100, we're not going, you just want me to get volume and lose my gross. No, I can get you gross because what you need to do, if you could sell, if 60 to 70% of your sales comes out in the first 30 days, that's where all the gross is. So if we can increase your sell rate on your fresh inventory, your grosses go up, but you have to have that fresh inventory there to do that. So we had to eliminate age. Now go to the next slide. What we're doing now here is matching that sale rate, okay? So look at this though. So this is what happens with a lot of dealers is as we try to increase their volume and stuff, they think it's sacrificing their gross, but the only reason why the grosses were sacrificed is look at how much percentage of his inventory he sold age. So he had to go through a lot of pain and probably gross losses to set him up. But imagine that now. He's a month out of this whole big COVID thing. His inventory's set up now. And you could see how we're starting to increase his fresh sale rate, the 0 to 15 and 16 to 30. Those trends are going back up. So now that the age is almost eliminated, that percentage sold of age is going to go down. His fresh sale rate's going to go up, and his grosses are going to be clean. And then we'll just maintain that from here on. But you've got to match the two, okay? And one of the hints I would tell you is you'd always want to be selling at least 5% more than what's sitting there to prevent any bleed through. If you don't mind, can you go back one more slide?
Yeah.
There. All right. So for example, and I wish I would have did the rollover here, but look at that dark green line, the 16 to 30. It's that. Now that line for the last day was probably about 27%. So the dark line there was probably at 27% just yesterday. So what I mean by that is he should be selling 5% more than what's sitting there. So he should be selling at least 32% of his sales out of that bucket to stop those cars going to 31 to 45 or bleeding through to the next bucket. So go ahead and move ahead. So that's what I'm going to look for and say, okay, are we selling at least, 32% out of that bucket? And you can see the green line here where they, at the end of the chart there, that they're still pretty light there. So what you need to do is, if you got to know what's sitting in those age buckets, and then figure out if you're selling enough out of it. If you got 30% sitting 46 to 60 days old, and you're only selling 20% out of that bucket, 10% is going to bleed through.
Right.
Your sale rate's not keeping up. So now you got an age problem, and then you got to clean up the age problem. Now you got a gross problem. And so every time dealers try to increase volume, it's mostly because you got to clean out age, and the grosses drop, and they think that's the problem.
What would you say is the number one problem, though, that the dealers are facing that pushes these vehicles to the next age bucket?
Back to my point of not being proactive in stocking. All of a sudden we get a good weekend. We have to overbuy and overstock, and then we turn into turnaround time. That's used to handling 10 cars. Now we just shove 20 down their throat. So instead of turning them around in, 5 days, now it's taking 7, 10, 14 days. So now I'm looking at, as a consultant, I'm looking at his 20-day-old car, and I'm going to probably make an adjustment because it's been 3 weeks. We're not getting activity. We've had it priced high, and they're going, hold on, I just got it out. My photos just got done. Give me another week or two. Give me a shot. I just got it out.
Right.
And we're running into that more and more problems right now, not so much because of the volume, and that's part of it, but it's guys are short-staffed because right now they only brought one quarterback out of the 3, and they haven't brought, so now we're running into dealers having that problem where they're a little bit shorter staffed in that area. And so that just drags. They treat that car. I treat a car like when you wrote the check. If you wrote the check 21 days ago, it's 21 days old. They treat it as it's only really, I know it's 21 days, but it's only 4 days because I just got it out 4 days ago. I'm like, yeah,
exactly.
no, you wrote the check. So then that gives them an excuse to hold out, and then they start bleeding through. But if you notice on the left of this chart, April 20th, he was selling more fresh than age when he was a lot cleaner. And then they had to shut down for a month, and the age just built up, right? And so we're just getting them back to that scenario, but he had to go through the pain to do that. So the biggest obstacle is just, again, going back to turnaround time.
And wouldn't you agree that there's no excuse not to be proactive in restocking right now to get back to those levels that you need to be, because there's ample population of vehicles available at the auction on the wholesale side, and the prices are still fairly decent, right?
They're lower year over year. They're still running high to MMR. So that's what dealers look at. They go, gosh, this car went $2,000 over MMR. And so they're thinking that, and then there's just a big supply of cars. It's almost double of where it was last year of availability. It's just the floors. A lot of these banks and rental car companies are keeping their leasing companies trying to keep their floors high to keep residual values decent. And so they're not taking big hits. So right now, no one's been desperate to liquidate hundreds of thousands of cars yet. And once that happens, like an Enterprise does with bankruptcy, or one of these OEMs start dumping a bunch of lease cars in because they just need to get them off the books, then that's when we start seeing a shift again. That's why, it might feel good right now, and a lot of dealers are having good traffic, and they feel like they have to go and buy, and maybe buy now before the market goes up some more. I just wouldn't do that. Again, I would buy to sell rate and let's try to stay steady and that's where if you can be proactive and go ahead and buy 2 or 3 right now instead of waiting for that big sale. Because what happens if I could watch my pace during the week and by Wednesday I could see my pace is high, I'm buying a little bit more Thursday and Friday, and instead of buying 20 on Monday, I bought 4 or 5 each day, which is 20. I'm 20 by Monday, but I'm pacing it out and my turnaround time can handle it better.
Right.
And now they're seeing 5 a day instead of all of a sudden dumping 20 on them. And that's where you get jammed up.
Perfect. Great explanation. Thank you. So now, again, we'll flip sides and take this great stuff that Jasen just shared about being proactive and understanding these price buckets. Now you connect that again. Let's say you're on pace with Jasen's program and you are proactive and you're keeping up the pace and you're selling through those price ranges. Now, how do you ensure that you're getting maximum just exposure on your marketing campaigns? And that's very simple, guys. One of the best things that we are seeing right now from an ROI standpoint is the power of social media. And so we all know that about nearly 80% of people would consider buying or leasing a new vehicle based off of content that they see on social media. So now let's dive right into some of this performance. So Jasen, you take your great pricing info, combine that with a solid distribution campaign that's going to push out these dynamic ads. This was a client of ours who took our early recommendations, and just as you said, they were proactive on stocking, and on top of that, they're very, very proactive with the strategies that they took and the guidance that we gave them. Look at that cost per lead. We're talking, just about 30. I think it was like $32 cost per lead on that blue line, and the total leads that they got next to that in March. And look what happened in April. There was just major shifts in the whole ecosystem. The algorithm switched a little bit. Google responded to it, but more importantly, the client here, the dealer, sent out a consistent campaign with great inventory, great merchandising, and look at the leads just through the roof. And again, cost per lead dropped a little bit, and then it even dropped. I think it stayed the same. We're right about $23, $22 so far month to date. And there's the total leads for May. And this was actually going back probably several days. But look at the click-through rate. Again, just started it was a little adjustment in April. Shifted some of the campaigns around. That's when things got a little bit worse. And then boom, right through the roof in month to date. And then lastly, look at that cost per click. These campaigns were so efficient. And that's what another major theme here, everybody, is just being more efficient, getting more bang for your buck out of the hard-earned dollars that that the dealers have, and making them as efficient as possible, getting the most bang for your buck out of these campaigns. And you can see the results right there. So how do they do that? Take a look at this. There's some real simple way. You got 3 different layers. You got your used car payments. You got your current deals that are, your desk deals that you got in-house. And then obviously we've got the aggressive OEM offers. So what's the dealer to do? Again, there's a bunch of factors here, Jasen. You can't do this manually. You're not going to be able to try to update these things on an individual basis. You have to have, obviously, the key items that make for a successful campaign. And our marketing automation system obviously makes it very, very easy to simply be able to create campaigns that have this consistent, relevant content throughout. So again, you can see there's your payment on the bottom left, $386 a month, 84 months, money down. And then what I love even better is, they take it to the whole next level. Not only you got lease and finance and purchase price payments on the middle one, but obviously you got the one on the right with the OEM offers. But what do we got here? You got video. This is one of the best examples I can show in terms of being able to leverage the platform that Google has, that Facebook has. But the cherry on top again is the ability for us with our proprietary system to be able to add in even more intelligence tools to be able to manage the bidding even faster and more efficient, so we can spend time guiding the client rather than just simply focusing in on the manual labor that's involved with typically managing these types of things. So that's how you extend that reach after, again, you've gone through the proactive stance that Jasen just described,
to be able to manage the inventory. Put those two together, and again, there's your winning combination, your winning combo. So Jason, talk to us a little bit about turnaround time.
Yeah, and that's where I think we have a couple charts here kind of connecting the dots, and I want to just kind of show you here. What we do is we look at what we consider lot ready, and that's going to be 10 or more photos or 15 or more photos. I don't want to get tied up. I mean, one example, we had a dealer, I told him he had 25 cars missing photos, and he's like, no, I only have 9. My inventory management tool shows I only have 9. Well, that inventory management tool was considering a car that only had 5 photos as photoed. And I'm like, no, it's not lot ready, man. Is 9 photos or 5 photos your normal? No, it's usually 30. I said, okay, well, here's 25 cars. So we look at what we call lot ready, 10 or more photos. But if a dealer does 12 temporaries and we bump it up to 15 or more photos, either way you look at it. But you can see here he was around 74% lot ready on these sites, 73, 74%. But you can notice also that that trend increased. He got well over 90% of his cars fully photoed, ready for sale. So if you go to the next chart, and you'll be able to see then what we call that lot ready turn and that sold turn. You could see how when his photos were down, his turn started slowing down. As photos got better and got up to 90%, his sales in turn went up with it. I also wanted to point out the reason why we look at lot ready turn, and the other one sold turn. What we mean by sold turn is, again, you got 100 in stock. Are you selling 100? Now, this dealer happened to be Viato, and Viato's turn is based off of average age. So you can see Viato turn stayed the same or went up a little bit because his average age stayed roughly the same. He would sell some old cars, bring some new cars in, and kept his average age about the same, or maybe it went up a little bit as he brought in new cars. And the same time that his Viato turn looked better and went up, again, the only reason why it was based off average age, he bought more cars. He bought more cars because he was selling more. But then that totally dropped off his what we call sold turn and lot ready turn. All of a sudden, he's not performing as well. The only reason why his other turn went up is because he brought in one day old car and brought his average age down. So go to the next slide, and that's kind of proof of that too. I think we have another slide with this. Again, this is his 2-week sale. So notice that green line at top, the same window, see his inventory level went up. That's why his Viato turn went up, because he brought in fresh cars. So it looked like, wow, we're turning our inventory pretty good. No, he just brought in fresh cars. But look at his sold percentage. It dropped totally down because, again, the rate of his sale, the 2-week sale rates decreased because he didn't have his cars lot ready. His photos were behind. And so his sales dropped off, and all of a sudden, as his photos got more, all of a sudden his sales jumped back up, and the sold percentage increased, and we're back in the game. But these are the cycles that I'm talking about. Dealers go through these cycles time and time again, and then the grosses go down because I'm bleeding through because I didn't get turnaround time fast enough, and then I'm scrambling to buy cars, and I spike again, and then my turnaround time flows. And so it's just an endless cycle, and you got to stay ahead of that. I mean, it's a little tricky right now with this. Dealers don't know what the stock. They don't know if this, traffic's going to be high right now or slow, or, what the impact of the economy is going to be. So, but you got to look at it every day, and you got to make adjustments, and don't just, once a week, oh crap, we sold a bunch of cars this week. Let's go buy some more and get caught up, and then we get jammed up, and then we sell, and then that's the hard part. Just stay ahead and stay consistent.
What do you?
Go ahead.
I'm real quick. How often do you get the feedback from dealers that they don't even know what their turnaround time is? And the costs associated with that. How frequent are you seeing that on your end?
I mean, most guys yes or no. They don't say, oh, I don't know. Or they'll say, oh, it's probably around 7 days, but they really don't know. But most dealers are starting to invest in tools like Rapid Recon and stuff to help them manage that more efficiently and know it better. But, again, and that's why we track lot ready turn and stuff, because I don't want a dealer come to me and say, Jason, you told me to carry 100, I'd sell 100, and I'm also only selling 80. And I'd say, well, you only have 70 lot ready.
Yeah.
You got 70 lot ready selling 80. So if you had 100 lot ready, how many would you be selling? You got a turnaround time problem. And so we can pick it up, but we meet with each store every week. So we expose this stuff to them and tell them what to work on. And our software, if they log in every day, will show this to them every day to make adjustments quicker. They just need to know it. Until we can expose it week after week, and then sooner or later they get fed up with it, and then they start managing it, and then we start getting better with it.
Yeah. So key takeaway here, everybody, is just, again, be proactive, manage those metrics. It sounds like, oftentimes it's much more of a leadership and an accountability issue. So again, that just comes back to your, operational excellence level that you truly need to be at, and where, what you're able to be at. And we understand, this is a difficult time. You got to do more with fewer resources. But again, something that should be on everybody's checklist in terms of understanding and asking the key question: what is that turnaround time? How quickly can you get it done? And, what are the extra costs that you might be able to, peel away from that? That's a key way to look at it.
Yeah, and to your point, it's top-down stuff. And again, that's why our key is not the software and this data; it's our weekly calls, because we're the accountability partner, and we're going, hey guys, what's going on here? What happened to your photos? Where are we at with that? Oh well, and we force them to see that reality, and then we back it up with trends. Look at your sales, guys. Look, when your photos went behind, what are we doing about it? So if it wasn't, we're not a vendor to this go, here's a bunch of data and reports, our weekly calls, and if I'm going to yell at you about something, I got to back it up. So I'm going to back it up with like what I just showed you. Here's 3 charts. Look, when your photos went down, I can even probably I could show them their SRPs and VDPs went down, their sales went down, all because of this. Well, and then you straighten it up, and voila. Now you got more sales. Now let's just stay consistent.
Perfect. Well, we're almost at the end. Let's jump through the last 2 categories here. I know you had two categories kind of lumped into one here. So we'll just jump into this real quick for everybody. And again, how are we tying this all together? You brought this up before. And again, just being able to leverage the most relevant ads in a campaign possible to be able to create and distribute and manage it is my favorite way to say it. You got to be able to understand the concept to be able to execute it. But Jasen, to your point and your question earlier, here's something direct from Google that just came out. Look at what what shoppers are actually searching for. They're looking for the payments, the deals, the offers, the rebates, the incentives, anything like that. Everybody searches differently. So bottom line is you need to be prepared. Look at the numbers, and obviously these are, it's obviously a result of the situation, but the truth is there. And the proof is right there in front of you. And you can see this is what people are looking at. And you don't know exactly what they're over. There's no clear and consistent pattern to it. So our philosophy has always been, let's take that and price it right, let's stock it right, to your point, and then be able to market it right with the most relevant content that will answer those questions. And again, here's 5 quick examples. We don't know how people are going to search, so all we want to do is prepare the campaigns to be able to fire whatever Google deems appropriate. So we want to give them the ad inventory best possible. Almost to your point, Jasen, to be able to be proactive with stocking the inventory, we're doing the same exact thing in terms of the concept of let's just stack the ad campaigns. So we're proactive as possible to be able to prepare, whatever it needs. If someone's on their phone, doing a local type of search, fire the phone number down here. Are they looking for a lease? Fire that. Is it what we call an unspecified ad, where there isn't a price right in the, maybe it's a brand search, but we can try to potentially be a catalyst for conversion by at least getting some of the additional relevant offer information in there. And again, same thing with this one up on the top. Or if it's, is it a finance type of search? What can we do to be able to connect that and be able to make these campaigns more effective, answer the question, and drive them right to a relevant landing page? And then lastly, pretty much sums up everything that we've done here. We're looking at a lot of data. We're looking at your inventory. We're looking at the industry intelligence. And now it's time to really take a hold of this and leverage what's in there. So here's one real quick example. Not a lot of people might be aware of this, but there's the intelligence, the insights intelligence. You can literally just ask Google Analytics a simple question. You can get instant user data. You can get detailed content analysis. And then once you drill down into it, if let's say somebody did want to ask, which medium is driving the largest percent of my users? And again, this is a great stepping stone to be able to get into where's my traffic coming from? How's it performing? What's the conversion off of that? What's my ROI from that? Gone are the days, Jasen, of marketers and dealers just saying, oh, my Google traffic is up. No, now it should be more along the lines of, well, my Google traffic is up, but on top of that, my Business traffic is up, obviously my paid search traffic, and then you drill down into the different campaigns, but you start whittling down. So it's not just a blanket statement, traffic up, traffic down. It's all about the segments. And then this is again just another quick sneak peek of what we've built for our MPOP analytics platform. We want to be able to drill down as specific as possible to find the campaign categories, the channels, the landing pages, and then most importantly up here on the left, what are my outcomes? That's what matters. And again, we've said this over and over again, and I will until I'm blue in the face, but gone are the days of just focusing in on a phone call that talks about a bounce rate and time on site and pages viewed. Those don't necessarily sell cars. They're an indicator of quality traffic, but we want to be able to go even further than that. And bottom line is, dealers right now, anybody that's listening right now, all the dealers on the call, your most important thing on your mind right now is figuring out, how am I going to be able to sell more cars? So show me what is happening with my data and my campaigns, and help me, guide me, show me the way. And that's what we're trying to leverage as much as possible. Not only your data, but together as an aggregate within our proprietary tools. And then on top of that, tie it all back to someone like Jasen and his team at LotPop to be able to understand what's happening in the inventory. So here's your next steps. Again, a very, very simple action plan, everybody. Start off with an inventory audit. Jasen and his team are gracious enough to offer that up. Reach out to him, reach out to LotPop, and so he can help you find those gaps and where you might be leaking gross, maybe process breakdown. Who knows? He's going to teach you quite a bit. I love listening to his audits. There's always something that we can pull out of that and find an opportunity for the dealer. Then next, contact us at Dealer Teamwork for a marketing audit. We'll take a look at your website, your pay-per-click, your SEO, your local SEO. Whatever you have a problem with, we'll be able to identify. Again, very, very objective overview, whether it's budgets, channels, anything related to your conversion setup. And then after that, again, working with Jasen and his team, build that consistent inventory process. I love Jasen. I saw in your notes earlier, you made that line, don't hope. I used to say that all the time as well. The moment you hope, you're dead in the water. That's not how it happens. And then lastly, leverage the automation, leverage the marketing automation power. Again, there's your simple formula, guys. Smart marketing plus better inventory. That's how you're going to make the money. And that's a very, very simple action plan. Again, contact us, and we will, we'll be able to help you out with a plan. Share this information with your team. And again, I love to say it: friends don't let friends do bad inventory and marketing. Get everybody on board, be the leader in your organization, and drive that effort. And that's our show for today, everybody. Appreciate you showing up. Jasen, any last words?
Yeah, your guys' my offer with you guys is kind of special with your clients, because usually we just do an inventory evaluation, looking at their photos and descriptions. But with you guys, if your dealers are willing to share logins to the inventory management tool, we can pull that data and actually show the trends that we see on our report. So it's a little bit deeper that way. So yeah, for your guys' clients, the evaluation's a little bit deeper, because we actually can look at their raw numbers and see their data. And if we can get that a few days in advance, even to a meeting call, we can see day after day trends pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Let me see. I thought I saw, I noticed there was some Q&A. Let me see if I can pull this up. 1 second here. I can't pull those up. Well, if we can see them after the show, I'll pull those out and we'll get those back to everybody. Again, thank you for attending today's webinar, Dealer Teamwork Webinar Series with Jasen Rice from LotPop. Jasen, great to see you. Great to hear you. Appreciate all the information, and keep up the great work, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Talk to you later.